So I started at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater in fall of 2001 is when I signed up for level 1. It was one of the first big decisions I made when I moved to New York was to take level 1 at UCB. And I often say it's one of the best decisions that I ever made. I had level 1 with Armando Diaz and loved it. Level 2 and 3 with Michael Delaney, loved it. I just kept going and got into a Herald team in late 2002 and was on another Herald team and another Herald team, and eventually my Herald team, Ruben Williams, moved to Saturday nights and was there for a long time. And then we had enough lineup changes that we changed our name to the Curfew, and that's where I am now. So Improv Everywhere started in the summer of 2001, just about a month or two before I started taking classes at UCB. I had moved to the city. I was 22. I just graduated college. I was interested in theater. I was interested in comedy. And I didn't have any opportunities. I hadn't even taken level 1 at UCB, so I certainly wasn't going to be performing there anytime soon. And everything else was like a bringer comedy show, and I didn't even do stand-up or off-Broadway theater that was difficult to even get into. So I started doing performances in public spaces, in bars and subway cars and street corners, partially just out of the desire to perform and to express myself creatively. And it was never intended to become, to reach the size that it has. It was just really just an outlet for me, and I was sort of smart enough to write everything down and then take pictures and then start taking video, and I was just very good at documenting it, and found an audience on the internet via doing that. So Improv Everywhere just turned 10 a few months ago, which is crazy that I've been doing this thing for 10 years. But it keeps getting more popular every year. We just crossed 200 million views on YouTube. We're getting very close to 1 million subscribers on YouTube. Hopefully we'll reach that milestone within the next couple of months. And the channel continues to grow on YouTube, and our presence continues to grow on Facebook and Twitter and my mailing list and all that, which is great. And for me, it's not even about the numbers. It's more about continuing to come up with new ideas that feel fresh and feel original. And we have certain things that we repeat and certain types of projects that we turn into series, but in general, I'm most excited about finding new ideas and finding ways for us to innovate and surprise ourselves, because that's what keeps it interesting for me, rather than just doing the same thing over and over again every time. Improv Everywhere has given me opportunities that I never thought I'd have. I had a chance to make a TV pilot a few years ago. I wrote a book with fellow UCBer Alex Cordelis, and that was released on HarperCollins, and that was super cool. But what advice would I give to people based on my experience with Improv Everywhere? I would say that my main advice is just to create and be prolific and create things you love because you love creating them, and do it all the time. And if only gets 200 views on YouTube, that's okay. Make your next video. For me, Improv Everywhere has existed for 10 years, and for the first 2 years at least, nobody cared other than my friends, my family, friends and family of the other people involved. And it took a while for us to get that momentum and to become popular. And, a lot of times I'll have people talk to me, say, oh, I tried to do a project like Improv Everywhere in my city and only 20 people showed up to participate. And I always say, yeah, I had 3 people show up to participate for the first year. You have to sort of be willing to start small and grow and learn. My advice for students starting out is to be persistent. And also, the advice is I would say my main advice for a student at UCB is my advice for anybody who's creating something as a comedian or an artist, musician, or whatever, is to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And you should be doing it because you love doing it. And I would say that over the years, I've seen students get discouraged at UCB, or I've seen people who were on Herald teams at UCB who maybe got cut from a Herald team get discouraged, and then just never show up again. The people who were lived and breathed UCB, and then they had one setback where their Herald team got broken up, or they auditioned and they didn't get put on, and then they just disappeared. And that to me always seemed so crazy. Like, well, why were you doing it in the first place? Like, why were you putting so much time and energy into it if you didn't just love doing it? And there have been other people who have been cut from a Herald team, or Herald team got broken up, who they loved it, and they kept doing it, and they persisted, and got back onto another team, and got onto a better team, or whatever. And I think it's important just to, in the big picture, to be improvising or doing sketch or whatever you're doing because you really love doing it. The first Herald team, the first round of Herald auditions that I was a part of, I didn't get placed on the team. I was certainly, upset. Everybody's upset when you don't, when you audition for something you don't get it. But I kept at it, and 2 months later, I got added to another team without an audition randomly. So, I think it's just important to do it because you love doing it. I think it shows in students okay, that person is very calculating. They're only doing this because they want to climb some kind of ladder. And the students who are just genuinely having fun doing improv because it looks like they love doing it, you can tell the difference.